Gem, we have a situation. The new virtual reality headset drops in 12 hours and Harry's called dibs.
Oh no, Harry's called dibs. He's got such a flimsy grasp on reality as it is. We need someone competent. Luke.
He's too busy doing actual work.
Joe?
MIA, he hasn't been in the office in years.
Dan?
Harry, you said competent.
Time's a luxury we don't have. What? I've got it.
G'day, I'm Harry and welcome back to the Loop Drop. New year, new hair, same couch. Today we've got a great profile of an up-and-coming game dev, a bunch of barely news, but first, our big story. PSVR 2 is out and it's amazing, those crispy screens, the graphics, that rumbling thing it does on your head. So now, right, surely now, after all these years, now, after getting all these different headsets, surely now that VR has matured and now it'll finally crack into being mainstream, right? Yeah, nah. I really don't know if VR is ever going to not be niche. Gaming in general may be big business, but it is still a bit of a niche, and VR is always going to be a niche of that niche. It's nicheception. That's hard to say. Like, first of all, there's just the expense of it. It's never going to be an impulse buy. A proper high-end VR setup will set you back thousands of bucks. Yeah, the mid-range self-contained dealies like the Quest are getting cheaper, but I reckon that kind of thing needs to be just a couple of $100 max before it can really crack mainstream status. And no, I'm not going to count those pieces of plastic and cardboard you can just chuck a phone in as VR. Talk about phoning it in.
I told you to take that joke out.
I mean, I love games, and it's only now that I've been basically forced into it and paid to do it that I've even bothered to try VR. I just didn't really want to put a bloody thing on my face and waggle my arms around. It's just too much faff. I don't want to have to push the couch back, move the coffee table, strap something to my face and work up a mixture of sweat and nausea, all just to accidentally kick the cat and trip over the carpet while worrying about accidentally punching the wall or the TV or walking into someone all the time. See this? This isn't relaxing. Also, there's just no way to look cool in VR. Not that it really matters, but it's not something I'm ever gonna feel comfortable doing casually around others. It's hard to relax and let yourself be immersed in a world when you know anyone who sees you is looking at you thinking you look like an absolute muppet. Here I am thinking I'm some badass dragon slayer, and to everyone else, I look like I'm fighting off an invisible flock of seagulls. Also, it's just unnerving to be completely cut off from the world. Someone could break into my house and steal all my stuff while I'm having an epic VR session. I wouldn't even realize. And they'd think I was a giant muppet. Oh. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not ragging on VR. VR is amazing and it's much more than some gimmick. After trying the PSVR 2, I was blown away. Being immersed in virtual worlds like that with good motion controls is next level and does completely change how games play and feel. You can get in there, ducking bullets, shooting over cover, staring up at robot dinosaurs. It's something only VR can do. And it's legit magical when that suspension of disbelief kicks in and just for a second you feel like you're actually somewhere else. VR as an industry is not doing itself any favors though. The fact that you got all these closed ecosystems, I can only play this game on this one and that headset can't do this. It's super confusing for consumers. I mean, PSVR 2 can't even bloody well play PSVR 1 games. It's not even compatible within its own ecosystem. Yeah, sure, that whole situation is more or less exactly the same for game consoles in general, but VR is too young for the industry to be splintering itself like that. And even with all the push for it to become some social experience and put us all in the metaverse together, it's never going to be truly social. I'm just gonna say it. VR chat rooms and the whole metaverse thing it's just the worst. All right, yeah, saying it'll never be mainstream is probably dumb. Never is a long time in the tech world. And sure, at some point, there'll probably be some kind of sweet sunnies that look cool and just beam the graphics straight into your brain, and they'll cost like $10 from the servo, and everyone and their dogs will be constantly strapped into some augmented / virtual reality fueled dystopian metaverse nightmare. But until then, it's just always gonna be niche. Now strap me in, Dan, I wanna kick some dino butt. We here at ABC Gamer love Aussie games.
Support Aussie games!
And the only thing we love more than Aussie games are Aussie devs.
Support Aussie devs!
We got to have a chat with Fuzzy Ghost, who made the AGDA award-winning game Queer Man Peering into a Rockpool.jpg.
This is kind of all I've ever wanted to do. Since I was a kid, all I've ever wanted to do was to be able to pay rent by making what I want to make, and this is what it is. Fuzzy Ghost is just us as two queers making our queer little games, really. Fuzzy Ghost actually started with us as an animation duo, being like a director duo for animation. One day during COVID, I was getting really upset that it took so long to make animated films, and I didn't want to spend 18 months on 5 minutes. I was like, oh, I just wish it was like video games. Scott was like, so try making a video game. Here we are, here we are.
Winning the AGDA was really special. Even back when Queer Man Peering was first recognised, it was by just a couple of people. The recognition really kept us going, because that was a really hard process. Our first kind of bigger game was really hard because we were learning and making at the same time and working in commercial animation, so it was really challenging at times. And just to have those few people notice it, and to have the crowd yell, and to have people yell and cheer, and to have people walk up to us just kind of saying how much they enjoyed the game and how much it meant to them, it was really special, and that's what kept us going.
When the nominees were announced on the night and Queer Man Peering came up, and like a room full of people screamed, I'm getting goosebumps now just saying it. It was, I don't think people understand how much that will stay with me forever. That was gorgeous. Janet de Mornay is a slumlord and a witch is the title of the game. It is set in a queer share house in Sydney, in a house that we lived in, loosely based on a house that we used to live in. And it is about queer share housing and renters' rights and landlord overreach. And while it is horror, so it is amplified somewhat, the whole thing is just talking to what the experience is of being a renter in the 2020s.
Yeah, and it's very much influenced by films that we love, like Beetlejuice and Poltergeist, that are horror, have horror elements, but are also fun and warm and funny, as well as being scary in spots. When I was growing up, you didn't see a lot of queer stuff, and that was even when I was starting to dip into queer movies and queer TV and things like that, and novels and stuff. Even then, there wasn't the kind of stories that reflected what I was going through, or even what I could be when I was growing up and like what I am now. Like, you never saw stories even remotely like that.
And even now when you get more, there's more and more queer stories happening, and that's really rad, but they're still so narrow in, they keep showing the same kind of queer over and over. And that's great that that person's there, but that's one person. Like, where's the little dude who doesn't like going out and goes to bed at 9 p.m? Where's the scruffy little one who doesn't have fashion advice? I just want more. Like, there's a gamut of queers. It's a huge range, and we just try to show the few that we understand.
Here's a bit of fun. Last week was the Pokemon Oceanic Championships in Melbourne, and where better to play the classic game, Who's That Pokemon?
It's a type of cast form. I don't know what form of cast form.
I think that's
it is.
air cast form.
Yeah, I know. This is embarrassing.
That's cast form. Hail.
The hail version?
Rainy day cast form or snowy day one?
Yeah, snowy, yeah.
Dunsparce.
Oh, it's that new one from the Scarlet and Violet. It's the inferior Dunsparce.
Dunsparce? Oh no.
Dunsparce? The Dunsparce?
Dunsparce.
No. The Dunsparce. The Dunsparce. That's the evolution.
There's a new Dunsparce.
Yeah, look at this extra segment.
Wugtrio.
Wigtrio?
Wugtrio.
Oh no.
Wugtrio.
Is it Love Disc? Nice.
I don't know.
That's Love Disc. Is that just Love Disc?
Yeah, that's Love Disc.
That's just Love Disc.
No. He said no. That's
What?
I feel like it starts with an A.
Alamola.
Alomamola?
Oh wow, that's a fighting type by the looks of it.
I got no idea.
Duramatan?
Duramitam, some alternate form. I don't know what the form
No, I think
is.
they're just both called Duramatan.
That's the Darmanitan Zen mode.
Darmanitan in the Zen mode.
Oh wow, you're the first one to get 5 out of 5. I'm impressed with myself, yeah.
Yeah, I've spent way too much time looking at this type of stuff.
Now for my favourite segment where we share news too small to elaborate on but too big to ignore. It's Barely News. Skull and Bones has been delayed. Again, this is news. Barely. Suicide Squad's apparently going to have a battle pass. Barely News. FromSoft will have an hour-long showcase for Armored Core 6. It's Barely News. PlayStation has a new accessibility controller. Well, that's barely, and it's news. E3 won't have Xbox, Nintendo, or Sony, but Ubisoft will be there. It's squirrely news. Oh. Diablo 4 open beta kicks off in March. Barely news. Nintendo and Microsoft have signed a 10-year agreement. Barely news. Speaking of Nintendo, the Nintendo Direct came out recently and these are my picks from it. Tears of the Kingdom, Pikmin 4, Metroid Remaster for the Switch, Game Boy and Game Boy Advance games are now playable on the Switch, and Advance Wars 1+2 Reboot has a date. It's coming out on the 21st of April, Barely News. That's the Loot Drop. Coming out this week is Scars Above on PlayStation, Xbox and PC, Destiny 2 Lightfall on PlayStation, Xbox and PC, The Day Before on PlayStation, Xbox and PC, and Wolong Fallen Dynasty on everything. Oh, I missed yous. Did you miss us? If you did, we have a TikTok account. The username is @ABCGamer and we've got behind the scenes stuff, just us goofing around the office. It's awesome, so don't forget to follow us there. Wait a minute.
Because they're robots.
Horizons. Forbidden.
They're going to the horizon.
Forbidden Dan.